Well. A nil-all draw away at Burnley. Shocked much?
You know what I said to Ryan when the game started a couple of minutes in? He can testify. I just said,
True.
He's still there. Looks like he may have cut out. Basil, you still there? Well, seems like he may have just cut out for a second, but I think the starting point here was we were dire, yes, and I was trying to tie that in with is he back now? You
hello?
back?
Yeah, did it
Yeah,
cut out?
I believe so. Yeah, you cut off and coming back in. Look, we either have zero people or we may have even more. It looks like we'll have Yan joining, but whenever he's ready, I think he can add himself back in or give us a thumbs up. But yeah, so I think we were starting with you were talking to Ryan and said you effectively didn't expect much less.
Yeah, I said it's going to be a 0-0. I mean, with the team that we put out and the bench we had, and going up against a reasonably low quality Burnley team with our low quality attack, I just suspected it would probably be a 0-0 if we were
Yeah.
lucky. And yeah, we should have put a bet on, but it was a bit of a frustrating watch. I felt it was frustrating. Ryan didn't seem as frustrated, but in the end, he was.
Well,
We were happy to take a point because of the chances for both sides, but I think it was a game. It was a missed opportunity and 2 points dropped from my perspective.
yeah. I will say though, and we'll have Yan come in here in a minute. We clearly lack, and there's a reason why the likes of Dwight McNeil, Tyler Dibling, and I suppose Charlie Alcaraz as well are not in the starting lineup when we have the likes of Jack Grealish, Keenan Dewsbury Hall, and Illiman and Jai up there, and we saw that today. A lot of poor passes, heavily weighted.
Hmm.
Motions not tracking
Touches.
back consistently. And to be honest, we are really fortunate that Burnley can hardly get a shot on target and take advantage of our sloppy mistakes in a relatively passive game at times. They were dangerous in transition. And I think almost all their shots that technically hit the target were from offsides or missed. And the Brune Larson what was it? They chipped it over to Brune Larson and he just misses. They were very close to scoring, but we were very fortunate to catch a team that really just couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. Unfortunately for them, they were pressing or like pushing it, but they just couldn't convert. And I count ourselves lucky because granted, we had a few scoring opportunities. We had a handball we'll get to that wasn't called, but honestly, we weren't good enough today to warrant points. It's just that Burnley aren't very good either. Yan, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts are that was symptomatic of a lot of the problems. You can hear me okay, right? Magic. Yeah, it was symptomatic of a lot of the problems that we've had because you can say, I think certain players had quite good games relatively. They just didn't gel into the tactics we used. Tyler Dibling did remarkably well considering he's had no starts, and we've been wanting to wonder why he hasn't. And it's not as if, okay, so he's not at the quality of, let's, for example, say Illiman and Jai or Jack Grealish, but these
Oh,
players were ineligible for Cup of Nations or illness. But you can see he's running on, and then he doesn't have many options. And you're trying to see, is he again? You have to adapt players, and you have to be adaptable. And he's trying to play a football, and he does so well, especially in the last few minutes of the game, to go towards down the middle of the pitch and then to the right and hold off some players and run in front of them because he knows he's not going to beat them on pace, but he's holding them off and keeping them behind and waiting for other players for support. And he kind of gets unlucky that other players don't offer that. And it seems at times that that we're not awake, whether it's the body language, we're not making football happen. I keep saying it repeatedly. You don't run around, you make football happen. You say, hey, I'm here, I'm open. And when you just put it out to the sides or there's a man standing and you pass it to feet and he stands around looking, there's no desire or there's no necessity from the opposition, from Burnley, to do anything other than go, well, okay, they're not pressuring, so fine, have it.
well, I guess that's the point, yeah. And for most of this match, or most of the match we just saw, both squads were relatively non-committal, but still somehow wanted to win anyway. Can you have your cake and eat it too without taking risks? Burnley, I think, were more dangerous through the middle later on, and in transition, we got caught out, and they somehow counterattacked. Again, they didn't hit targets, but yeah, that was something that was nice to see. Honestly, is having Diblin for an entire 90 minutes to see what type of maneuvers he's going to do. The
Now,
first goal scoring
can I pose a
opportunity from that,
question back though?
him. Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously Basil as well. The frustrating thing was it seemed as if I don't want to be disparaging to Everton or backhandedly disparaging towards Burnley, but it seemed as if somebody said it before, championship sides, and it seemed as if I was looking, going, well, Burnley grew into the game in the second half, and as you just said there, they grew into it. They took more chances, more shots, but it
Mhm.
doesn't seem appropriate that a team that are second from bottom, in line for a relegation scrap, and we are slipping down, but we're still mid-table. We're in the top half, or maybe I
Yeah, well,
haven't seen how all the other results are finished, right? But the point being, what does it say about us that we go away from home and the home team only in the final third of the game properly grow into it, and even then they're not threatening, and we can't maximize? I mean, yeah, you can talk about only naming, was it 8 or 9 substitutes and having 2 or 3 keepers and some without. It was just so frustrating, really, to think like, come on, lads, you've had an extra day, you've had a few days, it's not been Boxing Day, you've had the entire Christmas, and I just wanted them to put a shift in, and it was really frustrating that they didn't. I don't know about you, but it was just, come on, you didn't miss out on anything over Christmas, as you so often have every single year. So I get it. Sometimes we go, oh well, they're tired from Christmas, poor play. They didn't even have that excuse this year. They didn't turn up.
no.
Yeah,
But why?
I
But
think
my question, I guess, sorry, was, I guess my question is, what do you think? What do you think creates that? Was it the lack of players? Was it the fact that we didn't rise to the occasion because we go, oh, it's only Burn? Like, what? Why did we? Why do you think we were inert?
Shall we start with you, Basil? Because I can have my view, but like to hear
but
your. Yeah.
I don't think we were that lethargic during the game. I thought we put ourselves around. I just think we lost second balls. We played very poor decisions from the back in terms of long direct straight balls that lead to nowhere, and then suddenly you've got Burnley running back at you 10 seconds later. I think just like really inept decisions across the pitch and poor choices in the final third. But it's hard to level and say, oh, Everton we're not there today, because we did create Beto's back heel, Barry's chance, 2 good chances with the keeper saved. On another day, we could have got out of there with the 3 points and said, oh, that wasn't our best team. It was a struggle, but we still created and we got a goal. It just so
Yeah,
happens we
but
didn't get the goal, and it's really frustrating because um, this was a big chance to get 3 points.
But
Yeah,
wasn't it quite
and
easy? Couldn't it quite easily, especially when the ball trickled over the net, for us to go, well, that was disappointing, and we could have conceded a late goal and had no points and be sat here talking literally the exact same phenomena. It could have been 1-0 to us, 1-0 to them, or stayed 0-0, and and it just
that sounds like a draw again.
absolutely. But I think, but what it says is that draws can be draws when it's entirely one-sided, and you go, God, we fought on for that, or how did we not win it? But that, like you say, we both tried to win, but we also, neither of us tried to win, because it wasn't. Maybe it was the lack of quality without Grealish, KDH, and Jai. A multitude of reasons. But
Yeah.
for me, like, we didn't go and try and win the game. There were so many times, especially in the final third of the game, but all consistently where Burnley seemed to be more awake. We had the ball, and it's only coincidence if it's in a player's vicinity, because he's not already predicting where to go, and another player's not thinking, oh, he's going there, so I'm going to have to cover this gap. There's just a little bit of lack of football nous. Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah, and it
Because
looks
I know
ragged.
this sounds like a cop. Is it a cop out to say when we're lacking such squad depth and all of the players had come on, putting too much when you only had 3 players that could come on. What was it, Merlin Roll? We even brought Nathan Patterson on. That shows where we're at with the squad, right? So Nathan Patterson comes on, Merlin Roll. Who am I missing? We had Beto and
KDA.
Barry swap.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
So if those are the players we're bringing on, you're not really, if that's, and that they were done relatively early, which was nice to see. And you think, okay, are we really going to be going all out and you don't have replacement for these players? Or are you saying, don't take too many risks, stay compact and wait for your opportunity, but don't gas yourself because you're playing away from home? Maybe it was as simple as that. It was a Moyes cautious performance, but yeah, at the same time, it wasn't as if there wasn't an effort. And I think Ryan may have put a post up on that. What really bugged me was actually more in the first half, the consistent just passing errors or like not being able to hit to feet, hitting behind players, or not
Even little
supporting
things
someone
like Pickford kicking it out.
or kicking it into the striker that didn't score for us online. He nearly
Brozier.
so yeah, he hit into Brozier. There's a couple of scary moments like that where you're like, are you really revved up for this game, guys? Or are you just kind of a little bit through the motions and playing calm and low key without getting to like, are you really on 100? Are you kind of coasting at 90% intensity? Because Keane scared me a couple of times too in that first half.
Yeah.
I mean, again, there's a lot of criticism. But do you think I'm not gonna? This is not having a bash at you, Toffee Man 56. You just said it was very poor, no pace backwards. I agree with a lot of that, but it's just, can we discuss McNick? You know, do you think he played that badly?
He didn't stand out against a Burnley squad that is 19th, and we're trying to make something of it on the right side with Kyle Walker. And he didn't keep him.
Yes, and how old's Kyle Walker now?
I don't know, 48. I don't know.
He's still pretty quick. I said to Ryan, Kyle Walker would do a better job in our right back spot than anyone else has done this season. It's a shame we didn't just get him for a stopgap. Right. But anyway, I agree. And McNeil didn't really stand out, and he stayed on the longest, which was, I suppose, just because of his energy and he works hard. But in terms of getting the ball, he's just a bit one-dimensional. I think that's why he got moved into the number 10 position.
Well, the one thing
it was all a bit static today. It was all a bit like, okay, give me the ball, right? Thanks.
And he still, on occasion, delivered some quality corners and things of that nature. So he still has that aspect, but it's how do you integrate into the squad? How are you really making the defense worried? Charlie Alcaraz, as much as he turns over the ball, I don't think he can be dangerous, but he was not on today. Yes, he had a bicycle kick effort, looked great and acrobatic, but a little bit too far out for me. The first chance actually, and one of our inroads to goals was Charlie. He went wide, cut back in. It was a little bit poorly weighted behind, and Beto nearly comes in with it. So Beto was actually had a, relatively speaking, well-timed run on the back post and didn't convert. So I think that was something that I saw. I felt that I saw more opportunities to take the player on and composure from Dibbling in that perspective that I saw from McNeil. But when you're talking about defensive coverage, you'd think McNeil, and that's probably why they kept him on and put Patterson on for Dibbling at the end, why you'd have McNeil on. Just being able to track back and
shut up shop.
I think his experience in being in those nitty-gritty battles as well.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got this from whichever one of us is somewhere in the background doing this. Yeah, that's encapsulated it. I mean, do you think Burnley played? Let's look at it from maybe a different perspective. Do you think Burnley showed any forward progress in terms of survivability for this season? You know, clawing their way out of the relegation zone.
No.
Everything except for actually the final
scoring the goals.
Well, a bit like us, because they actually looked dangerous at times, but they just did a bit like us. They didn't have that link player. The problem is we have a lot of players out, and they had Anthony on the bench, who's I think been one of their primary outlets, to be honest, this season. And he wasn't starting, but he was available. That's the key difference. Do they have someone that can execute in those moments? You probably want more than one, and Anthony was that at the start of the season for him. So you need another two or attacking minded players, a KDH or esque kind of player for them, and a striker to make it happen. And if they don't, I think they're in trouble, unfortunately, for them.
Yeah, sorry, I was just having a look at some of the fixtures and the scores, and Brentford managed to score a couple more. And yeah, just looking ahead to see, because it's we are still. I know we've dropped down to 11 on goal difference or something. No, just on points. So it really would have been lovely to have us go up to sort of 8th and be there like a point above, and the gap above sort of Brighton, Newcastle, Spurs, Bournemouth. But as it is, well, what do we have to look forward to?
Fitness of key players coming back, I think. Thing we can look forward to that James Graham's asking, I just checked that on Google. January 1st is when the window opens, and I believe it's the 2nd of February it closes. Well, transfer window.
Yeah. So on Jan 1st, you'll expect to have a couple of new signings walk through the door miraculously. Right, fullback and midfielder.
I do find it, maybe it's just me being a bit bitchy, right? But I find it frustrating that all these long, protracted gaps, and then come the new year, we're playing 3 games in 7 days.
Yeah, it's annoying, and international breaks and.
But hopefully we'll have players back.
It's annoying if we were a better team, Yen, maybe we wouldn't have said breaks and it wouldn't feel so staggered. We'd play in Europe more often. We'd have more players out on injury. There'd be more coverage, and it wouldn't feel like there's gaps. But hey ho,
I know,
like it happens, but it just every year we lose.
It just goes to show you, though, our next game is against Brentford. And they've just had a decent game. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, they've just Wolves as well as after Brentford, and we're playing them. Is that the cup? No, sorry, I can't remember what game that is.
Forest,
right? But then before they play us, I mean, they're playing West Ham, and I can just see them. Every team before they. I'm not even going to get into this. I'm going to sound like a conspiracist, because every team before they play us seem to get an inordinately, game to get them back into their stride.
Yeah, well, you know what? Burnley aren't playing well, and this was a perfect opportunity for us to take advantage, and we didn't. So we can create our own narratives, and we didn't convert on the flip.
Yeah, I mean, either way, it was a very frustrating game today. But I think the only time I was truly worried, where I thought, "Oh God, that's a goal," was when it trickled, it hit the post and went over the goal line, towards the end. Because as soon as he hit it, I thought it's going in. Sorry,
it was offside in the end as well, so it was
slightly offside.
Small mercies.
Well, they put it up with the penalty. Yeah, let's talk about that, because
that should have been given.
His hand was certainly away from his body. It wasn't drastically wide and extended like the Michael Keane kind of arms or anything, but it was certainly out, and it blocked the shot. It wasn't part of his body. It seemed extended. To me, it was a penalty, and the fact it didn't even go to VAR for consideration, to me, is
corrupt. Sorry.
Sorry, was that some ginger corrupt tea in your lungs?
Oh God, it must be the comfort coffee. Oh, goodness.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, I'm not sure like the Premier League really likes Burnley either to help them.
Yeah, but why would they? It's not necessarily helping them when they look at it and go, well, they're already fucked. So
Yeah, they're
they go,
already
just
down.
screw Everton over, I'm not going to bang on about it, but the penalty against Arsenal, I know he had his hands up, but is no one ever going to discuss the point that he literally gets physically bundled into it like that, and you can't pull your hands down when somebody's there, when somebody's moving you like that? What you expected to do? It's physically impossible.
There was one last night, wasn't there? He said that he got pushed into it, so they didn't give the penalty. But Jacob Bryans, they weren't bothered about the fact he got pushed into it. And this one, I mean, this one is, what's the difference between this one and the Tarkovsky Leeds one and the Hewsbury Hall one earlier in the season? Those two were no worse than this one, and it's a bit of consistency is required. It's like they've changed the rules after those penalties, like a couple of months into the season, they've stopped giving it. They can't do that midway through the season. We should be compiling reports about this.
Yeah, well,
it's
all honesty,
basically
the quality and consistency of the referees isn't good enough, irrespective.
That's what I'm saying.
I wasn't saying that is the minimum. Yeah, so there you go.
It's not whether like it is or it isn't in the discussion, because you can have subjective interpretation of it, but the fact is there's a lack of consistency. That for every instance of one given, there's one not given. For every instance of one not given, there's one going, oh, that's not a penalty, and it's a VAR review, and they agonize over it for 4 minutes and then go, oh, it's given. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, and it's bringing the entire game into, I know I'm going to have a bit of a rant here, but it's in bringing the entire game into disrepute. They can have the technology with Hawkeye, with rugby, cricket, tennis, all these kind of things to know immediately when a ball is in and out of play. And now you have players, sometimes it's absolutely adamant, and you rely on somebody 30 yards away to determine the flow of a game of football and the momentum. And then sometimes subsequent things like a corner or a throw-in and a goal. And it's just, if they can't even implement the right technology, and then, for instance, the game at Bramley Moor, where they're talking the Arsenal game, and they spend 5 minutes discussing it, and then he just announces the referee, no penalty is awarded, insufficient. What's the point in that? We know no penalty's been awarded by the fact it says no penalty. What's it adding? You're not adding anything of any value. It's a performance to say, well, that's my authority and it's not going to be challenged. There's no requirement for accountability, responsibility, or culpability, because even when referees are adjudged to have impacted a game and then they're suspended or allocated to different matches, it's not actually that nobody is ever held to account, or there's no recompense or regard for how to correct it going forward when it repeatedly happens and it impacts actual football match outcomes. It's ridiculous.
So I'll elaborate on my view of what you just said, Jan, because the referees even verbalizing their decisions is an improvement. But if you're not actually saying anything of value with your description, we're not getting closer to the gray area interpretations that are causing us these frustrations. So I would demand and expect more elaboration on these gray area decisions to therefore have it documented why they're inconsistent and what got them to that decision. That's where I want to see.
Because otherwise it's just qualified immunity. You make the wrong decision, you shove it, or it's like priests being moved to another diocese. Okay, and then you bring you back when it's just all died down. That's all it is.
Well, if you verbally document that you made a decision, but you didn't talk about the nuance of the decision, which is the crux of the argument, we're not moving. We're not actually progressing.
No, it's like going to court and the police saying, "Well, I arrested him because he was doing this crime," and the judge going, "Cool, guilty."
I arrested him because
where's the evidence? I fucking say so.
Yeah, right. So that's the thing. These gray area decisions we've been talking about a bit, and we had that penalty shot, wasn't it, last week with with Barry, where we say we've seen them given, but we've seen them given shouldn't be therefore everyone gets more penalties. You want it consistent, but you need it documented so you have a library, a menu, or small whatever a la carte of evidence and history of understanding where the gray area is on this rule. It is tricky, but we have technology that should make this easier. So then we need to spend time to develop and build confidence on where the line is, instead of, well, it's up to interpretation. Unfortunately, it's a sport with interpretation all the same. I don't know about you, Basil, but it's a tricky one. I'm not sure we'll ever
It's
get
this
it right, but I
clear,
want more transparency on these grey area topics where they seem to change their opinion on what's a reasonable handball. Because Tarkovsky's one to me was not. Dewsbury's Hall's one, okay, his arm was slightly out, and it's equivalent but different to the one we didn't get today.
it's this whole clear and obvious situation. It's too subjective what's clear and obvious. That's only personal opinion on that. So today they obviously didn't do it because they thought it wasn't clear and obvious. To us, it was clear and obvious because we've seen so many cases of similar handballs given this season that surely the VAR have to have some awareness of contextualize themselves in what decisions are going what way this season, or they have to be a bit more forthright after the first few matches and say, well, we acknowledge those decisions were not right, and this is how it should be measured. But that's not been the case, so we need to get some more consistency somehow.
Yeah. There must be a local artist, by the way, Jan, that in the Liverpool area that will draft up all the possible scenarios of how a handball could possibly look. And then you give them like 50 different scenarios, give them the PGMOL and say, yes, no, yes, no. Because then if they're all there
Like an
and they flip,
airport,
yeah,
like
and
a
then you go
flying
according
safety
to
car.
page 53, subsection B, where the arm is like this. It's not this.
Oh,
Subjectivity. We said it is at the start of the season, and you keep it consistent because you have enough scenarios to go through.
They
I
should
think we've gotten there with digital offsides.
They should probably have an AI doing the job instead of a man in a room. Just
to be fair,
let the AI look
you
at
can have,
previous approved handball decisions, and I'm sure it would look at today's and go, the thing touched his arm, the path was going to goal, therefore, based on the rules, it's a penalty. Take the human subjectivity.
you can use AI to flag certain things, and then obviously it won't be perfect all the time, but you can look at it, and then at least then there's an audit trail. What accountability is there for this? Because we need to know, like, there seems times when you go, oh, there's a foul there, and then nothing happens, or oh, there's going to be a penalty, and they don't send it to VAR, and then sometimes there's a corner, and out of nowhere you get, oh, there's a VAR review. Now, what triggers that? Because you've got to wonder, if nobody on the pitch, no players, nothing's calling for it, and then all of a sudden there's a penalty, right? Okay, sure, it might be the right decision, but you have to wonder, like, how fastidiously are they looking at that they can watch it on a replay and miss it in real time or something along those lines. So it makes you wonder that there is definitely software that can do this. There's motion tracking. It's doable. They have it. It's entirely plausible to do it, and I don't know why. I don't know why. Because what? Because it would find human beings and the power.
Honestly,
I'm not going to say anything slanderous.
To be honest, I think it would make their lives easier, and I'm not sure why they don't. But
money.
Maybe there's I guess the time and commitment. Premier League makes a bunch of money. It should be, but maybe that makes it entertaining. That's just the way the cookie crumbled that day, and that makes the drama of the sport more entertaining and less synthetic. But I would rather the human element sometimes be removed. I want the human element to be.
We've had multiple former referees, and so come out and say that referees are given guidance and instruction on how to interpret the rules, and even coached at various soft coaching throughout the season and they've said that in effect doing it without doing it, or saying the thing without saying it. Look, you could say, well, we're going to burn the hedgerows to treat a bug infestation, whereas in fact you actually want to kill all the badgers, and that's what you're going to do. So when they say, oh, we're going to give you coaching for interpretation of the rules this week in this football, the referees have come around and said, look, it's soft coaching to tell us who should be winning the games, for crying out loud. They've said it, they've admitted it multiple times, and yet it just gets ignored. Genuinely, it's out there. Look at it. Go do a Google. Like, I'm not saying do that, say it for yourself, but it's out there. It's fucking annoying.
Oh, I'm not sure we're going to resolve this today. And I can get blue in the face, but I'm also here with family at 1:30 in the morning being told I'm too loud to wake up everyone else in the house. So I'm trying to keep it quiet here. because otherwise I can just go blue in the face getting mad at referees. And the reality is, I'm more mad at my own team because we should have scored and won anyway.
Yeah.
That's a component we can control, and we didn't. We had it in our hands. But you know what? Dubravka had some great saves tonight, didn't he? He had the one they weren't world beating strikes by any means, but it was like what down the middle from Barry, and then the one that was it, what do you call it when you tuck it behind your right your left leg with your right foot
Backward.
behind yourself, whatever that
Panenka.
move is,
Oh,
that kind of flick behind, and another excellent save down to Dubravka's right from Beto. Both our strikers actually had reasonable shots on target today. They weren't bottom corner, but Dubravka, I think, wins man of the match for those two saves against us. Unfortunately.
Yeah, I think he did have a good game, and he stopped us from getting that goal. We were close on a few occasions. I just can't get over. We've got 12 senior squad members or 13 thing. We're lucky today that Garner and Tarkovsky didn't get booked because they would have been out of the Forest games. Just about held on to some squad. But I mean, what are we supposed to do? Just write off 4 games or whatever for the sake of the fact it's AFCON and whatever, because we don't prepare ourselves for these moments in the season every single year. Working, I think they cut the squad down to save on the wage budget.
Do you know what it reminds me of? Every time when you say this or when it points out, every time it reminds me of, come on, there must be loads of you out there who experience this when you're going, like you've either been through the tunnel or you're on the Wirral and you're going on the motorway approaching the tunnel. You know it's there, it's signposted, it's exclusive, like it's literally there's nowhere else you can go, or you've been through it. And then there are people who drive up and you can see them and they're like, bloody hell, I've got to pay for the fucking tunnel. Like, it didn't just materialize out of fucking water.
I
You
think
know
the
the people I
acronym
mean.
is
Don't prepare for it.
prior preparation prevents piss poor performance. The 5 Ps. Yeah.
Anyway.
I think I'm probably gonna have to knock off here, guys. But did you want to close? If you wanted to take over and keep going, you're welcome to it.
I don't know how much more we can say about this low quality entertainment that Everton conjured up today.
Oh, I thought you were going to say this low quality entertainment we're providing follow Everton viewers.
Well, no one's thinking about talking about access and paying your fees in the tunnel, just like you ended. It's unique to follow Everton, which is maybe a custom
It's circuitous.
local feel
It's
that I may
circuitous.
not provide.
It's circuitous around the houses and just coincidental when we talk about football, like Everton. You go there and it just happens to be coincidental if we win a bloody game. No, right? Are we doing player ratings or anything like that? You put the man of the match.
James Garner gets a 7. Tarkovsky and Keane maybe get 7s. That's about it. Merlin Roll ran around and the rest get 5s and 6s. That's kind of where I'm at.
Okay. I wouldn't even give Keane and Tarkovsky that rating. They kept hoofing the ball up to nobody.
Well, to be fair, they weren't beaten as often, but James Garner to me was our strongest player. That's really where this is coming.
The 2 in the midfield, I thought, were the most combative.
Eric Burnham won the ball back a lot, but he also was a little bit too cagey, but he wasn't the problem.
Yeah.
But in possession and being calm on the ball and trying to stamp his authority, James Garner was that for me today.
Yeah, I actually thought Beto really wanted to score today. He looked really hungry for it, but he only got that couple of chances. There was one in the first half he nearly got to. Like, he made an attempt for it. I think it was Dibling's sort of cross across. He sort of beat his man, and I thought Dibbling showed some good moments of flicking it over somebody, beating a man, couple of crosses, like more than we've seen from him. And the 2 in the midfield, and that's it pretty much. I don't know. The rest of them were all a bit just poor or average.
Yeah, there wasn't very much to be said for I don't know, anyone really.
You know, we
Sorry.
don't have any other choice. We can't play anyone else, can we? So we got Anzu, right? Was he on the bench?
Hasn't, yeah. Look, to be
Um,
I did say Dibbling. Dibbling look, but he didn't stand out. It's not like he had an amazing game, but Dibbling looked like he's approaching first team standard, maybe.
it wouldn't be hard to look decent in that side, would it? That was the side from last year. We would.
Peter,
Yeah.
you've been hanging out with Jeff. I mean, it's a pretty damning.
We're not very good at football. The callback, are we doing? Yeah. Oh well.
We'll be back
I
for
think
more.
Evertonians.
You'll be back watching the next game, which is what, Monday night? Is it? Is it less? Is it 48 hours away till this same bunch of 13 players get back together?
Uh,
Yeah, the next match is on what? It would be the
Before.
30th
Oh, no,
against Nottingham Forest away.
away at Forest.
3 days.
Yes, that's not too far away.
Yeah,
I'm not sure what
good
my
momentum,
schedule's like,
yes.
but I'm sure we'll have pre and post match coverage for that one. But yeah, at the moment, it's not the end of the world. There was certainly some points dropped today, underwhelming,
But
but
it is
it's
the
not an
end of
opportunity to see
2025.
our squad depth or what we need for January, which I suppose we've been talking about all season. But it's a nice reminder, and maybe we can get some of the bench depth, which includes the likes of Dwight McNeil, Charlie Alcaraz, Merlin Roll, and Tyler Diblin, more time playing together in the starting in our starting 11, so that we have a more well-rounded squad when the likes of Jack Grealish and Dewsbury Hall come back from illness and injury, respectively, and AFCON for the likes of Illiman and Jai. But yeah, I think
And-
that's it from us. So I think all of that.
And for any Evertonians waiting, I do believe the next tranche of seats of Goodison Park seating are being sent out in the January window. So your late Christmas presents for anyone still waiting for that and their order will be arriving.
Ryan said he doesn't want it anymore. It's coming in a week or two.
I would like to point out to Everton that I'm still awaiting contact after multiple attempts at calling them to see if there's any form of indication on how I might go about getting the stanchions, the metal, or some schematics for it, or anything. Because as I've repeatedly said,
Yeah, just rip out the whole structure.
All right.
Just rip out
next
the
time,
whole
everyone.
structure, yeah.
I mean, it doesn't work like that. I'm not
We
allowed.
can rip it.
You know that Everton, I wouldn't expect anything from them. I mean, they're very nice, polite when you speak to them, but they don't seem to organise anything. I wanted to buy my Sunderland tickets, and bearing in mind I'm a season ticket holder, I logged in and I couldn't purchase it.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. I'm on the Auto Cup, so I get the Auto Cup tickets. But let's cross bridges when let's cross bridges when they get burned. Oh, Chris has gone. Right, on that note, everybody, it is time to go. Enjoy the football. Chelsea, Aston Villa has just started. It's 10 minutes in. So I think if we're all bitter blues, we would really like Villa to consolidate the lead over Liverpool. Anyway, as it is, it's thank you from me.
And thank you from me. But the Toffees, we'll see you in a couple of days.
Absolutely. How do I get out of this?
How do I play this outro?
There we go.
Do we just